just thank you again for taking the time out today and our first session here at the in the back of the Sagrado, which was intentionally being created here by community members as a meditative space. I don't know if Lauren, you want to share a little bit about the space before we get into stuff?
Sure, I can share a little bit. I'm Lauren. I work with the Sagrado here, and this space that we're in, it's been an ongoing process for the past few years of working to cultivate this backyard to be a space that's comfortable for community. And during the pandemic, we shifted our programming outdoors, as many of us did, which was really a blessing. And we took our design empowerment workshops and really focused on reconnecting with the land through adobe building. And so we learned from some elder mentors over in the Grant Park neighborhood how to build adobe blocks. And we realized that they taught us, and we found that the soil that we have here in Phoenix is perfect for it. The soil in the backyard that we're in right now, really the balance of clay and sand was perfect. So we didn't have to add anything except for straw just to give it some integrity. And so over the course of the past year and a half or so, community members have come together. Some of you, I know Monique was out here for workshops, to build blocks and then lay them. And we're still in the process here, so we're going to build up one more layer so we have a bit higher seating. And Selena Martinez, who's our lead instructor, she's also an architectural designer. She working to get her license in architecture. She just took a workshop on adobe plastering, so we'll plaster over it and add some more artistic elements. So been a project in the works, and it's really nice to finally see it activated with the intention that we set. So thank you for that, Maria.
Thank you. We want to go around and just maybe share whatever you feel called to, what brings you here, what you do. It would be really interesting to share more about our work, our individual works. But yeah, we'll start with.
My name is Monique. I'm just interested in connecting and trying to do better by my community. I have a daughter, so I think that's all I have to say in terms of motivation. So she's 2 and she's full of life, and she reminds me of what it is to be human and innocent and true. And so having the opportunity to reignite that or rediscover that within myself, and then try to do my best to then share that with my community. That's what brings me here. And I just thank the Sagrado and everyone involved for welcoming and creating these spaces that allow folks to reconnect with that in such a welcoming and meaningful ways. Thank you.
My name is Jalea Lewis. So I am a RN for 21 years, and I kind of retired, I like to say, from nursing during the pandemic. And so now I've switched over to holistic healing. So just getting back in touch with my ancestral practices and herbalism, and I call myself an herbal mixologist. So that's what has brought me here to this journey. It's my own healing journey, and as I heal myself, I can heal my family and my community. Thank you.
Give us grace, y'all, with this camera. Trying to make things work outside the light. Okay. All right. Oh, wait. I'm moving stuff. Sorry, guys. Okay. Anyway, I'm Anjali Lafery. Let's see. I am a co-founder and also co-executive director of the Siwapatli Collective. Let's see. Other more important titles. I'm a mom, soon to be grandmother. What else? I've originally from Southern California. Grad school brought me here. My father was from Cuba, so we're Afro-Guanos, Afro-Tainos, and Arawak. My mom's from Guatemala, and we're Maya. And so, yeah, what brought me here? I mean, aside from obviously being a part of the collective and running technology and doing those things, I'm just looking forward today to kind of feel that grounding, So I am definitely pulled in a lot of directions, both right now, both mentally and emotionally, and actually physically as well. There's been a lot of movement for both the collective and myself. So just to get settled so that I can walk in better to some of the other things that I have to do both today and tomorrow. So yeah, and then I think professionally, just with the work with the collective, I just see myself as like just supporting all this, trying to make it available, so doing everything I can so that people have the workshops that they need and want. So yeah, I'm go.
Hi everyone, my name is Debra Farias. I am also co-founder of the collective. I'm Chicana, Purepecha. My family's from Jalisco, Michoacan, and I often grew up, my mom and my grandma, my tias, all telling me all the different herbs to take in teas or to even just like soaking them and placing them like in your ears for infections and that kind of thing. And so herbs have always been a part of my life. It's our family go-to. And I'm just really looking forward to learning more. I'm a mother of 4, and it's been beautiful to be able to integrate a lot of those practices from my family with my children and to see them work. And for them to be so accepting of them too, or even if it's like a salve that was made of an herb, they automatically know, can you give me pomadas? Is what they say. And they don't really always know what is in it, but they know it's for their healing. And so I love that they're doing that. So I'm just really excited to be here always with the collective. I also run marketing and communications, so I'll be taking pictures and video. And if it's okay, we may share some things online. If it's not okay, just let me know. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Sure. Hi again. I'm like, real world virtual things. So Lauren Kennedy, I do a lot of things here with Sagrado. Sometimes it's hard to see what my role is. Technically programs director, but it ends up being quite a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. I was a teacher for almost a decade, classroom teacher. Started teaching middle school and then transitioned to teach art for a while, just really feeling the impact since the beginning when I started teaching, just intuitively knowing that like arts, whether it be visual art, music, poetry, theater, anything hands-on, really any kind of creation was what engaged my students, but has always engaged me in my learning experiences, is to do something hands-on, gardening, which I'm excited for. And that eventually, long story short, brought me to Sagrado. But I also, I come from a line of healers. I think I've always been drawn to people who are more connected with their ancestry. I don't really like the colonizing term white, but that is my ancestry. My family comes from Mediterranean, Sicilian, a lot of crossing of people, and my family's done DNA tests as well, and even seeing family from the Mediterranean, from Northern Africa, from Eastern Europe, Ireland. I have a lot of Irish heritage as well. I've how crossing develops culture, and with that also our relationship with the land is a major part of that. And I feel like the land is always what connects us. When we strip back all of the layers, humans have always been dependent on the land and water. And so I think for a while I felt intimidated by gardening and planting, but my family has always done that. My grandma, was an amazing Sicilian cook and had a garden in the backyard. She and my grandpa both cultivated tomatoes and basil, and the list goes on. And my parents as well. And my parents are in like Western medicine, both a doctor and a nurse. So I understand the struggles of that as well. And I think being around that my whole life, I just I had a respect for healing, but I've always been drawn more to healing that comes from the earth. And so I'm really looking forward to this lesson today to just learn more about medicinal plants as I do my own experimentation and kind of make things up. I love the herbal mixologist term. I relate to that. Like teaching some things. So yeah, I'm really excited to learn from everybody here on the herbal mixology.
You do yoga too, right?
Yeah, I'm also a yoga teacher, so that definitely take a very therapeutic approach. I'm not a physical therapist, but my studies have been self-studies mostly in anatomy and physiology, and so I'm very curious about the relationship between the physical body, our mental body, and then how that impacts our spiritual experience. No, you're good. You guys are okay.
I basically got a letter.
Dear Creator.
First, I want to take the time to give thanks to Carmen and Sam and Anjali and all the collective for providing this awesome space for women and us men. This idea or vision that Sam has for his place here is very awesome. He's done a really good uh, job with his metal work here, with his cactus. The herb garden that I designed for Carmen here is the logo of the Siwa factory. You can see the celestial board in the middle of the garden. Something we wanted to, not everybody can build the box, but it takes a little bit more vision and love for gardening to really create something that really connects to our ways of gardening. So, like, this garden is going to be very medicinal garden. It's going to have ruda, root, sage, basil, anything that we use for either ourselves or our community to heal, because we all know that the medicine that they're providing for us is not out there, and that it takes us to research for our own medicines and our own ways of healing. I also want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Gabby for doing a lot of connection in this community too, bringing from here history to California, Southern California to here to Phoenix. We all need that stronger connection because here in Phoenix we lack that because there's not spaces either for women, kids, or men like us that are trying to escape this urban landscape that they built for us. Or need more spaces, more green spaces for us to heal. And eventually, this is going to be a service-scape garden. We're going to use low water plants, and we're going to focus mostly on the water in our medicinal plants. So I use irrigation ollas to keep my dirt cool. And then if it rains, they'll collect water. And then it keeps the stress from watering every day. If I fill it, these are the 2-gallon ollas, the 3-gallon ollas, depending. And that way, it takes a little bit of the stress of watering every day. Did I introduce myself? No. And my name is Fernando. I come from an immigrant family. I represent the immigrant community. I feel that is one of the communities that I want to work with a lot. I'm from Mexico City, and I was raised here in the Valley for over 18 years. I remember memories of me hanging out in the backyards here and empty lots, and that really never settled with me very good. Like, I don't know how kids can be raised in empty lots. We need green, we need pots like our abuelita's gardens back in Mexico. It's not hard, it just takes a little bit of additions, like the Tlazocamati collective is bringing this to us. Thank you very much.
And for myself again, my name is Maria Ferracano. I'm a mother of 4. Oldest is now 9. Youngest is 4. Born and raised here in Phoenix and Barrio Garfield, downtown, and then now I've always done work since I was 16. I worked on the south side, so I felt like I was always a commuter. I always did work here on the south side for a really long time, and now we reside in Levine. So we just sold our house downtown about a year ago, and so it was still very much commuters and doing a lot of work here. So my family originally comes from Texcoco, Mexico, and Cuauhtemoc, Chihuahua, and so which is Chihuahua's in the north part, and then you have Texcoco, which is outside of Teotihuacan or outside of Mexico City. So we traveled a lot even then. When we were younger, we would travel a lot. I have siblings born in different cities throughout Mexico because of that. But my parents came here because of work. They were migrant workers. They also did a lot of, they were artists in their own right to creating mariachi outfits, ballet folklorico dresses. My mom would make wedding dresses. We grew up sewing, things like that. We did that. And then a group of mariachis got together in the 80s and decided to sponsor my family's visa to be here. So that's how my family and how I ended up being born here. But one of 9 children. And so everything has always been in community. My mom was a loan worker. My dad is a huesero, so he's always worked on helping people with their loans and putting things in place and doing things like that. We grew up with people coming in and out of our house because of not only dancing and like dance practice, things like that, but also women would always bring their babies to my mom, and helping them with college, with different things. And so we were fortunate enough to learn from her all of that medicine. And I don't know if people are familiar with like limpias with an egg, use all of that. Like we saw it all, so we would always do that when we always believed in it. That was what we were used to, right? As well as in our food ways. I'm a professional, I guess by trade, you could say. I'm a chef, a plant-based ancestral food chef, and so a lot of my work focuses again of like my own healing, but then helping others heal from that and learn from using plants and medicinal, nopales, and which also grow in Sicily, by the way, nopales. And that's what for me, I really love food history. And so just knowing that just like food and people, like we traveled and foods came to us, and knowing which ancestral foods come from this continent, and seeing that like, chocolate or cacao is not Swiss, originally, and things like that. People knowing where the food comes from, how it was used as a currency, but then also how it's used as medicine, and so just little things like that. I really like to, even for my own teachings about like the tomatoes, like where did tomatoes come from? I came from Mexico, and so it's like knowing where food comes from, how it connects to you personally, and how other foods have traveled here, seeds traveled from across the ocean, how they've acclimated to our environment here in the desert, but then also just like the people, we have those connections. We know that our original connections might have been, across the ocean and are now here. How do we still make our own connections to those territories that we're in now, right? So, yeah, we have my husband also is a welder, and we have a metal shop as well, and so we do a lot of running around pretty much, but we're also part of the Food Forest Cooperative over at Spaces of Opportunity. We have an acre there where we're growing all fruit-bearing trees, and these are trees that have acclimated to the desert environment. So we're growing plums, peaches, apples, you name it, and these are all things that grow well here locally. We have about 3/4 of the acre done, and we just recently will be actually building our greenhouse to have on site to be able to help with accessing plants, because that's the real part right now, is sometimes accessing seeds and plants is difficult, or the culturally relevant seeds and plants is what we're missing. You could find, not to say it's not culturally relevant, but like a cactus, you could find cactus all over the place, here. But a lot of it is like, how can we connect with learning about some of the plants that we have here, even rosemary. How can we use rosemary? What is a low water plant? Like we have our desert lavender. Like how can we still use the lavender and things like that, using it as a medicine? I think especially during this pandemic, we've learned about. I know for us in the collective, we've touched on a few medicinal workshops when it comes to respiratory health. How do we help them? We work with a lot of birth workers and womb workers to say, like, how can we support anatomically those who are identify as women, being able to say, how can we support our wombs, how can we support our bodies, and connecting the dots of how our womb care also affects the rest of the alignment of our body, just like even energetically, the alignments of our body, right? And so there's so much that comes in together and it all balances out, but I feel like a lot of the conversations we're going to have here kind of tie into that. And I by no means am not an expert, but my abuelitas knew what they were doing. My mom taught us a lot. Even now within my family, like I go to one sister in particular, she's like the egg lady. Like we all have our tasks in our family, and Even the other day, my dad was mentioning for my dad's side, we're Raramuri, what is known as Tarahumara. And so his grandfather was a chief of that clan or the tribe there. So he was like, he travels back and forth all the time with our family. So he's just like, oh my dad did what you do. He goes like that to me. My dad, you do it just like my abuelito used to do. Like he was like, you guys, that's all you guys type thing. But because of the way we try to communicate our healing through body work, through spiritual work, through food, and so that's a really big connector for me. So, but if we'd like, we could start kind of walk around people so everybody can be familiar with what we have here, and we'll talk as we go through it, as we touch on different plants. If that's okay, we'll be a little bit mobile. It got a little bit cooler right now in the shade. It feels really nice to be outside, and hopefully it'll rain one of these days soon, But I know for sure in our garden we actually had a different location. We transplanted we tried to keep what we could of the lemongrass that is actually our medicinal garden then contained a lot of medicinal plants that help support postpartum. A lot of the birth workers in the community, a lot of the people I work with are also postpartum parents who need either some type of herbs to help them relax, help with milk production, help with healing properties, whether it be a C-section or natural birth, reducing inflammation. And so a lot of these are along those lines that will help the body reduce inflammation in different parts. Can be consumed, some are just used topically, some could be used in baths. And so we'll keep diving into a lot of those. And so here we'll go ahead and start moving around. So feel free to come on this side. And it's really great also to see how even in the desert we're able to try to be cautious of how we use water. And I also appreciate Fernando's ollas. We have one put in here. We're going to put in 2 more to help in this process. So we could head on this side. And then we'll touch on what we have here and how we can use it. So we do have a few different medicinal, well, they're all medicinal one way or another, right? So we do have our first one here is our desert lavender, which I will put on the side because this one is not going to be used because I don't save water with it. It'll grow perfectly, not in the bed. We also have our, in Spanish we call it albahaca or basil. This is also Italian basil.
I was gonna say, yeah. Do you mind like facing?
Yeah.
All right. So
I'll show you mine.
And I'll try to get closer, y'all.
So our Italian basil, which is really good to help with inflammation as well, either as a tea, it could be dried and saved. It could also be put like mozzarella Greek salad. So that's actually really, really good. We have lemon balm here that can be used in different ways to help with inflammation as well. And that also, I believe, I don't have a personal relationship with this one yet. I know a lot of birth workers, so we just wanted to make it accessible to them. Yeah, I don't have that specific on that. We have some hibiscus or jamaica, and once it flowers, it rebels, that then it could dry out and then turn into tea. And so a lot of the jamaica itself, when it's not sweet, it's consumed that way. Once you make a tea, that helps with anti-inflammatory as well, and helps detox the body. It also, once you make a tea and you have the leftover petals, that could be cooked. You could make it pop a little bit. You could make it as a meat substitute. You could also just season it, flavor it, and it's edible. So that's something that's really beneficial. Right? We have our mint that can be used in so many different ways. A nice tea, even in your bath, ointment. I would say even like lip balm. All of it. It could all be used in that way. We have our globe mallow, 2 different versions of globe mallow. These are desert plants also, so we're going to use those on the side. But these are really great medicinally for the lymphatic system, and then also to help with the body. So the flow is that it helps the lymph nodes open up so that it can then help circulation and everything throughout the body. That along with yerba mata right here. This is yerba mata that usually I was so excited when I found it. I was like, yes, yes, because this is really great to where my daughter actually used this tincture a lot that we received from one of our friends, one of our comadres here, the collective, to help. She had calcified lymph nodes. And so I tried, because another teaching I had was using the portillo flowers, which are amazing too. But she didn't like the tea. And she was at the time 4. So she's like, no, I don't want tea, you know? But then later on she would run up and ask me for her mansa. Can I have my mansa? I would just put 2 drops. And so it would help her to help break up those calcifications. She ended up having to have surgery anyway. But beforehand, we're helping keep them from growing, you know, and helping the flow throughout her lymphatic system, along with massage and body work and things that would help. And for that, it was just a bacterial infection, and they don't know where it came from. It could have been dirt, it could have been anywhere, something, you know. So we just helped maintain her with using yerba mata. And so that's that even helps the little ones have their own connection with the plant, you know. We have a moringa tree here. You guys work with moringa? Yes. So we know so many benefits of the tea itself. Also really great for womb health and support as well. So this is something that once the pods grow, they grow possibly even up to this long. But each pod could be used, you know, and I use the seed, replant it, things like that. The seeds are huge. Yeah, the seeds are like, you know what the seeds remind me of like what we call the ojo de venado, but like the deer's eyes, when they look like actual eyes, you know, when you have them. So, I mean, it's such a powerful little plant used mainly in Asian traditions or not only Asian, but on that side of the world, you know, primarily. But this could be used topically, could be ingested, really great medicinal plant. Helps support liver support as well, along with dandelion leaves. Those are 2 that I really like using along with nettle for myself. Just like in tea form, it really helps, as well as moringa helps balance blood sugars, diabetic. So that's something that we really try to, for me personally, try to connect more with the plants that help support that. What are the topical benefits? Anti-inflammatory. Most of the plants we have here will, the more often you use them, the better they are in bringing increasing blood circulation in those areas. There's a few that are antiseptic, you know, so when it comes to a topical wound, but you wouldn't want to use it if it's open. You want to make sure that's healing, and you use it to help heal that. But yeah, for sure. Chiles, which are always part of my diet.
That's a preferred chile because it came from the garden.
Over there? Yeah. And then we have a few other new ones that we brought in. Let's see what else. A rosemary. This is from the Spice Island, so this actually grows really large. And so this actually, if you want to grab, touch it, smell it. That's another way of how I identify the plant myself is you grab one of the leaves, squish a little bit, smell it, you know. And so this is a really beautiful plant that grows so big, but we use it as part of our postpartum and healing as anti-inflammatory as well. And it tastes great too, you know, so you definitely can use it in so many different ways. This is mugwort. And so you could use it in a tea form. You could actually save the leaves and dry it out, use it as a part of a steam bath. Postpartum, we could even actually burn it as part of as an incense as well. So this is something that is used throughout, from my understanding, all the way throughout the continent in different ways. Some call it estaquiate in Spanish. Not sure where the name came from, but estaquiate is a really staple item in Mexican healing tradition. And so, it's one word. It's a version of it. And then we have a Mexican sunflower here that I was really excited when I saw, because the sunflower, which we're going to kind of do one as well. The sunflowers, that we are edible. remove the seeds, but then you could also roast them, the heads, and they're consumable. So it's another food in that we have in the garden. So that's you could grill it, just season it, grill it, another great plant-based substitution. So there's so many different things you could do with that. We have Mexican oregano, which is amazing. So this could be really great with respiratory health as well. And then also can be consumed, menudo, pozole, you got it. We have our supply there, which would be amazing, but also great. Traditionally, also one of those older medicines that is used by my nanas to heal as a tea when it comes to respiratory stuff. Another one that we don't have here that was a staple in my home was bay leaves. So my mom would always make a bay leaf tea. We felt like we're getting cold from the respiratory bay leaf tea. Later on, she started adding cinnamon into it and a lime. And that was like what our soothing medicinal tea. And like after that, we're all good,
So, anytime we've gotten like a cough or even like COVID, I've made chili oregano, and it just opens up, right?
Yeah.
And I personally like it. It's very strong. My husband doesn't like it a whole lot, but I think it's worth it.
And you use it dry or just like that?
Dry. You can do like that, but I mostly use dry, and I just let it.
Oregano oil is very good too.
Yeah.
Very good for COVID.
Yeah. And that's why too, like I'm looking at trying to see how we could then do like an oil infuser, do all that stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
Essential oil. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm on it. And have it accessible, but for sure the Mexican oregano, when I found it, I was like, yes. We also have our what is known to many nations, and so it's called Navajo tea. It could be called Hopi tea. I call it just wild tea and it's also known as Mormon tea. So if you're familiar with all this, it's just who colonized who type thing, but really it is just so beneficial when it comes to detoxifying the body. It grows really well here. I was really excited when I saw it already sprouting as well. I usually buy it dry, and there's only one place you can buy it in the city. And so that's why when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's one. And so this is anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. It is consumable. I make it into big batches of tea and usually use it as a catering item, especially amongst the northern nations here. So our Dene relatives, our Hopi relatives, they all know it, and so I'm really trying to bring that back so that they can connect over, And so we try to have that at all our catering. So we also have rue here, our root mat, which is really important to us in our community of the collective. So this is really great herb to help support reproductive health. And I would say the full spectrum reproductive health. So from so many things there. So it's also consumable. I believe some African communities actually include this in very specific dishes as well. And so it's really great to include in our garden medicinal herbs. So ruda is also like one of those staple herbs in our medicine cabinet.
Family.
Yeah, Joey calls me a food fan.
That's just because my grandma called me like.
Cross-cultural for real.
My family uses ruda a lot for headaches. It's also a tea. And her ear, that's the one that my mom tells her to use when the kids' ears are hurting. You kind of smoke it, and then you wrap it with like a cotton ball or something, and you just let it sit there. It's just kind of help open it.
And then these are soy onions. These are local wild onions, and these grow here in the desert. So these I wanted to bring in and supplement to our medicinal garden, but also having our vegetable garden, mixed in here. So these are just because they're local, they're wild, and we can have them here. This is northern Arizona sage, and we use this specific one for a lot of our ceremonies. So it's really great to have it in our medicinal garden because we can also use it as a burner. It could be used as a tea, but I would do it very sparingly because it's similar to how you would use a white sage. So for us, or for me personally, this is more of a ceremonial plant that we have here. And then lemongrass is also anti-inflammatory. Used in a bath, in a warm bath. If you want like a tub, you want to soak in it.
It does very good here and there.
Yeah, it grows very, very well. It is one that my daughter always says, because it's spiky.
Sure.
Yeah, and so then that's actually the transplant from our other garden that we had. So we're gonna go through that so that will survive and transplant that here. But this is great to add to any dishes as well. Lemongrass is so good. The tea is delicious. That's another tea that I really enjoy making for catering. And then obviously peppers. And then if you're not a fan, the capsaicin, that chemical that peppers contain, also helps send that almost like a dopamine type of reaction in the mind. So I love spicy food, so that means I feel great after I eat it, and it also helps fight the body. It becomes a then reactive sense to where the brain recognizes it as like relax. It makes the body relax, but then also it's anti-inflammatory. So the more chili you would think I would be, but the more chili you eat, the capsaicin is actually a chemical that brings down the anti-inflammatory properties for the body. So I think there's also many other herbs that we think are in our kitchen pantry that are same anti-inflammatory, same like curries and everything, that turmeric, is used medicinally. So there's so many things that align with not only our overall well-being in the kitchen, but also emotionally, spiritually connected to the plants, right?
And if you tried growing turmeric here, that.
That would be interesting to see if we can. I know curry grows here well. Yeah, that's great. We have a few seeds here that we have the opportunity to also plant. Morning glories are good to plant here too. This is also a plant for reproductive health. All sorts of different ones here that Fernando brought to us.
Edible flowers, beans, a purple seed sunflower, so we can make purple dye for our clothes.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many things. We have more aloes, more cacti. We also have the creosote plants or shuki here by our ophthalmologist college plant. In Spanish we call it gobernadora. That one we do, it is a very medicinal, very strong medicinal plant. Some use it to detox or like a cleansing, and you just know how helpful and powerful it is. Yes. We use it in different ceremonies, but I would always say it's really great. It's antiseptic, great for healing, for topical healing. I use stabs with it. Great to have on your skin. Even when at one point I was using it as like a tattoo ointment, but really great for cuts and bruises and things like that. I actually have a really good story with using the gobernadora. I fell. I did it hard one time after when I had one of my kids. I fell. I thought I broke my toe. It turned black right away, bruised. And then one of my elders was there, and she sent somebody. Luckily, we had a lot around because we were preparing for a ceremony. And she said, "Go grab some of the medicine. Go make a dark tea with it." And we brought it back. We brought it out. She said, "Just soak your foot in it." And I sat there. I kid you not. Within 10 minutes, the bruise was gone. It took everything out of my foot, and since then it's been fine. So that is very, very powerful. And the darker it is, the stronger it is. So that's why it is strictly medicinal for us, very potent, very strong. There's a reason why she's the governess. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've been making my body oil also with it, and similarly, Victor actually had he was lawn mowing and a rock came up and hit him in the lip, and I gave him some, and he said it was just I'm gonna gone. Yeah, the swelling went down.
Yeah, that's a very powerful. and it grows here everywhere.
Everywhere.
So that's the good thing. Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah.
I'll go hiking and just
When it rains, that's the
Okay.
scent. When it rains here, that's the scent that you like. Oh, it smells so good. It's the creosote and that Arizona smell. But it grows actually all throughout the continent. So my daughter's name has to do with the vegetables, the beauty that grows from the rocks is what it translates to. So her name has to do with the connection that the same plant that grows in this local. And so it's all throughout the continent. Lots of cacti here. I don't know the specific names. I know they're all different varieties. All used
Carmen.
could be used. I think the most common one is this one, the Osito. I think it's called, which is the basic nopal, the edible nopal. Yeah, and when that's the fruit, I love the one that have the flowers. So beautiful to bud.
Sorry, Carmen, can you just try to turn this way?
Sorry. But the different types of nopales, which is, even then you have, I believe I saw one on the other side, but you even have your choyas that are edible, the buds that can be harvested, and also, I use them a lot with beans. But then also knowing that, when it's drought season, it's not good to harvest, and knowing in this desert, the certain parts of the city you could harvest very easily, there's others that you can't because you need to make sure that the plant grows, right? And so nopales, you have your tunas that could be used for different things, for beverages, served as, you could turn it into a drink. I know now it's actually being bottled and sold in different places. But the nutritional value of the nopales is really important, not only as an edible herb, but then also knowing that just like an aloe, anything that's secretes, that's the medicine of the plant. So I actually love making smoothies with nopales. Specifically, one that I love is like a nopal, cucumber, pineapple, and cilantro. That's my favorite. It's very refreshing in the summer, but then it's also great because you're using the natural sweetener of pineapple and you're balancing out your blood sugar with the nopal. So knowing, and cilantro, I love it, but some people aren't fans, but you do have the medicinal properties of it helping detox metals from your body. So cilantro is a really good herb in helping detox your body from any metals. So I just added by the handful.
So salsa is just a healing medicine that you're eating, right?
Yeah,
with
really
the chile and the cilantro.
With the capsicum of the chiles, you have your tomatoes, you have your onions, you have your cilantro. Really, and you don't have to worry. I mean, other than eating the tortillas,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel like drinking it, just like a smoothie,
right.
essentially. Yeah, salsa. I mean, the only thing is you have to look out if you buy it made, just any sugar that's being added to it. But if you're making it homemade, never hurts to have a lot of salsa. And then over here we have one more, or a few more, which is our
That's where the pomegranate tree when we go.
over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a jojoba, which you're familiar with jojoba oil. So we have a jojoba plant here that then can be used to create oils, and we're all familiar with. I think we're mainly familiar with the medicinal values of that. And then we also have our guamilla, which we use the flowers for, some of our postpartum and medicinal things as well. So it's all using stuff that you already know a lot if you're in the desert, just knowing what it could be used for. And so that we use them for postpartum teas and baths. But for sure, jojoba, eventually as it grows, we create, for oils and things like that. And then, let me see. Shall we? Yeah. I'll hand it over to Fernando if you want.
I don't want to interrupt. I just want to say basil. I don't want to get on my hands. Yeah. And I needed help planting the seeds, so the flowers, because flowers is what's going to make this start a pop. We have a lot of zinnias and edible flowers, so you can always come here and pick up some sour, green salad. See, the way I plant my basil, I have a
Yeah, go ahead. So we want to move this way and then move some of our deserts out of the way.
so. I'm gonna put it here next to this soya. I make a little water pool. Easy plant. All they want is just to be planted. They don't like pots. And once you plant them on the pots, once you plant them on the ground, they'll recover. But you can't really have them in the sun too long. Also, I can fill my olla here, and then the olla will slowly seep water to the ground, and just giving the slowly watering the plants. So it takes about two days for the olla to empty, so you can come back to your garden. You can always throw some fertilizer stuff in there, or for water collection. That's the way I plant my garden, my basil. So you ladies wanna help me out with the making, and I'll just bring the water.
I think he wants to keep them together because it's going to grow a lot.
Either together or at the end, so it can. When the basil flowers, like the smell of it is so awesome. It's just like, so that's why I like to put it all around the garden.
Can you move that one? Is it in the way? Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's okay. No, the globe mama. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's fine with you getting started. Yeah, go ahead, dig in. If you want to keep some in this area and then also on the edges, that would be good. Oh yeah, yeah.
We want the like one here on this edge as well.
I think we could pair them. Yeah, we could do a couple right here.
Here's some water.
And we are going to try to keep as much coverage from the sun.
I like to garden in large group because the more hands-on, the faster that we plant the garden, and it's teamwork.
I don't know, can I get some water?
Yeah.
You said you.
That
how,
way.
How about how deep did you dig?
That's about it. That's,
those water.
yeah. And then this organic dirt provided from spaces of opportunity.
Yerba mansa does create a vine. So at some point we'll have to grab the stick to help it.
Yeah.
Or plant the chiles next to it.
Right.
Like plant the chiles and use that. Right?
And this is really when the connection happens. Once you are just planting, it's just really when you feel the connection. And
how much space do they need?
The way I like to plant my gardens is I like to put as close as possible to plants because you don't have a lot of. That way, when it grows, it all grows at once and it just looks all green. No,
Okay.
you can't really see the dirt. I can we can always chop it down, trim it down, and get it out of the way. You know, it's not like a hard tree plant or a shrub that just gets on the way. I don't have a big garden right now. I only have a garden at my mom's house. It's a little healing garden for her because she's going through her stuff, and she's growing peasant hawks and gourds. The gourds are really taking off because I put it with the Oya. And it's her first time gardening, and I think that her healing is just going with the season, like the plants, and it's just like she's just taking it slow, not rushing the healing, just healing. Just yeah.
So you dig the ollas underneath, like you put them
See?
before.
Yeah, because
Thank
it
you.
actually keeps the ground cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what you do in the summer, to make sure the plants are still thriving.
The first, a little more water. The Oya is really. It took me a while to figure out how to take care of my garden with. Because water it's stressful here in the desert.
What are your thoughts on lemon balm, rosemary? Just like, Maria, do you have a preference or plan for how we do rosemary and the lemon balm, or just?
Let's try putting them together. Get the pair.
Do you care which one's on the corner? I'm excited to see how this rosemary grows. Like nope, I got one here. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I make things more complicated than they need to be. I have the same boat.
Okay,
well, where am I?
That's probably affecting different parts of you. So,
That's what happens.
so just think about like, okay, hold on. Yeah, it's okay.
I never overthink things. Yeah, this rosemary is beautiful. Lauren, do you mind just coming to the side a little bit? Got my five in my You're good.
So you had mentioned that there are almost certain spots
The desert ones, the desert acclimated.
That's a good idea.
There we go. The desert acclimated ones, yeah, those are different. I get them from different places. So those are from, a lot of these plants we got from 2 different places in Tucson, actually. Because the drier temperatures, like they really acclimate well there. So that's from Desert Survivors and from Spadefoot Nursery. And so a lot of the plants here from there, which is amazing. What was the first one you said? Desert Survivors. Desert Survivors.
I feel like Tucson knows what it's about.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Have you been to Mission Park?
Not yet, but I want to. Yeah.
It's so cool.
I had went one time. They had a gentleman who worked from the Desert Museum.
Oh, okay.
And his name is Jesus Garcia,
Mm.
and he does a talk on agave.
Yeah, and that one's really cool.
What did you learn about agave?
Just so much.
What he showed, but the main focus was how they use it to make oil.
Oh,
Yeah,
fibers.
like the sisal oil you get in like the store comes from the agave plant. So it's agave.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just learning all the information. It was awesome.
That's so cool.
I have
quieras.
tons of baby agave that need homes. If
Who needs water?
anybody wants agave, seriously, they're just like they are growing in pots that I have at home, and they're taking over each other. And so yeah, if you have space for them and want some, I'm like, there's not even like we planted one over here, and we'll have to replant some to use the garden beds in. But yeah, there's only room for so many.
Yeah, and then they I know exactly what you're talking about. Then they have all the pups and aloe vera.
Yeah.
Tucson is cool and everything, but let's remember that we're in South Phoenix. Farming community for ages, Japanese community,
Yeah.
Generational here.
black community, brown community, white community. A lot of farmers here. I always like the story of the Japanese gardens, the gardeners that they moved over here. But then, if you really want to think of the past gardeners here, then we gotta think, remember the native peoples from this area and how they garden with all the canals around. And I think that's a very, very cool thing.
You want me to take the oil?
No, eso nada más ahí porque va a ir, sí.
Yeah, okay.
¿Esta está muy grande también o cuál es el tamaño o la forma de esta?
¿De qué? No,
De
esa
esta
es de
olla.
dos galones.
Es igual, más o
Yeah.
menos. Wow. You look so much smaller.
So as everybody can see, once you get into it with a big group of people, you can plant your garden real quick.
Are there benefits to starting with seeds instead of
Well, they acclimate better,
Learning patience.
and that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna recognize some plants, and we're gonna.
Water? Yes. Just a little bit.
Give it a little mount. A little mount
Okay.
to make it sturdy.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. I'm just kind of like, maybe I should just get the seeds, like there's. Oh yeah. Oh, oh.
I also have some cherry tomatoes. This garden's gonna have cherry tomatoes, a lot of edible flowers, zinnias, and all the medicinal plants for ceremony. I like Carmen's selection in plants. Yeah, she really knows her medicinal plants. I don't have a lot of experience in that. I just focus on veggies and little herbs. I started farming in Nebraska like 7 years ago. Started this organic pesticide-free garden next to a creek. Spent about 4 years there, and eventually we started seeing a lot of more migration of butterflies and all that were traveling across the creek, and they would just hang out in our garden as a little stop. So, yep. You build the garden, they'll come. We had a little hummingbird that was in our own garden, and when I was picking up the last part of it, it was flying around.
We have a hummingbird that made a nest in a wind chime on
Nice.
our porch. Yeah, so I'm like, oh no. I thought it flew away, but I saw it in the evening time.
Yeah. So yeah, I like to put the water in the hole first. That way, for sure, I can for sure know that that plant has enough water to survive. Um,
Probably less shock.
yeah. So yeah, it's all about creating the space for us to have our gardens, and so our healing can really happen. I was looking at some videos from the past garden over there in Single Factory, and that lemongrass really like looks just like took over the show.
It did.
And for a minute, the garden was not watering properly, and even like that, the lemon, yeah. So I'm like, damn, like,
I know, like, I don't know if I want to put that lemongrass right here.
right. And Carmen brought the little baby lemongrass like these, and it just took off. I guess they acclimated real quick.
Wow. Oh wow, this one's all moved on.
And just the amount of medicine that Carmen harvests from that. So.
Yeah. From those, we harvested maybe 4 or 5 times,
The
and it
video
just kept going and going, and the kids were learning how to harvest it and how to lay it so it could dry, and we would put it in bundles, and then people could just take it. You know, it's beautiful once the kids get involved too.
Thank you. Oh wow, yeah, this guy's all. I'm trying to grow. Come on, still.
We're not going to have any kids so far. I'm still waiting for it.
Oh, not right now. School day.
I'm basically you can use that shawl.
Do I count? Yeah.
I know. Mama time. I'm missing it.
I'm sure they'll tear it up soon.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody, to Mother Earth, the provider, the one that loves us. And there's no right way to garden. It's however you like, however you want to garden, just do it. There's no like, oh, I don't want to garden because this person is a great gardener and he's gonna make me look bad. No, there's not competition. It's so like this was a collective thing back in with our people, and you made us understand the seasons ourselves. So there's no right way. Just once you start, you'll reap the benefits of it.
Anybody have any questions about anything? I have a question about the bougainvillea? Yeah. We use the flowers and as a tea. The pink, right? Technically it could be any, but
And it's sweet onions in the tea.
Like
It
you
has,
pick it and then put it in the tea.
yeah, you can just boil it, but and not sugar sweet, but in the way that you would describe an herb as feeling, having a sweetness to it, in the way that a cinnamon has a sweetness, and that's spicy too. But like we'll do it in a tea that has a lot of different ingredients, and I can always taste the bougainvillea, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's just that
a little bit of seed in
I
there.
have it all over my yard. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Never thought about using it for healing purposes.
Someone at the show on Saturday made an agua fresca.
Con botella.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like yeah, it was beautiful too. It's like got that like kind of like prickly Jamaica color, but very light.
Yeah, it is. That's a good light and sweet. That's how we describe it.
I'm gonna try that. I didn't know about that one.
I
And
missed it. I was running and I
Put
didn't.
some lemon with it. So
Okay.
that would probably be the most immediate pairing that I would combine. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a tea. Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit of rhubarb if you want. Now we're going into a different tea.
Now, what is it that you do to your church, ancestral wound?
Oh, so this is for the collective. So we have an annual gathering, and it's titled the Ancestral Womb Wellness Gathering. I would say it's our signature product, or what we're best known for. We've had it, or it will be our 7th this year. I guess spoiler for sneak peek of information for people watching. We're thinking in the fall, in October. We haven't put out all that information yet, so it's had a lot of different formats: in person, virtual, one day, multi-day. But that's where we kind of gather and share a lot of this information and community. So yeah, I mean, now you're connected to us, so I'm sure you'll hear about it.
Absolutely.
We'll keep you informed.
Usually bring in different healers to come in and do workshops on different topics. We say our work is from womb to tomb, so you have everything in between. Yeah.
So you say you transition, probably transition out of nursing around the same time I transitioned out of teaching. You're like part of the math.
The Great Resignation.
Yeah, the
I was a part of it as well.
Yeah,
I was a part of it.
what were
Yeah.
you doing then?
I was a professor. I'm a psychologist, and so I was a professor, and I just came full time to the collective.
Nice. Yeah. Things are done very silly. You said you're doing more like alternative healing. Yeah. So what is that? What does that look like for you? Really?
A lot of people think that Reiki originated in Japan. It didn't.
Where did it originate?
In Kemet, which is ancient Egypt.
Okay.
So I do like the Semitic Reiki, sound healing.
Yeah.
Still do vitamin IV.
Oh yeah.
So we can, voy a dejar esto de agua.
Trauma,
Yeah.
Then we'll
trauma, soul retrieval.
Are you a hypnotherapist? No, you just do the work. Yeah. Or yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's that mix of you're a healer. You're a healer. There's no definition needed.
No.
Yeah, it's just because you said that I'm a hypnotherapist. Because usually when people say that, they're like, oh, you have this background. But
Okay.
My younger sister, she just did like certification hypnotherapy and loved it. She's really good at Reiki as well.
I just had my first hypnotherapy session not too long ago. That was my first one.
nice. We should try that.
Yeah.
I think we should try to fit one more in here. I'm thinking this lemongrass is just gonna
And
go wild.
afraid
And
of
the
it.
hook too.
Where that get big as well?
Oh yeah,
And so
You know,
the
these beds have,
the Navajo tea.
oh yeah,
you may think it's a lot of dirt in there, but no, it's half dirt and half,
I'm thinking just
pieces of wood and.
I don't want to cry.
It's called horticulture.
I actually think it should go in that corner.
Bathroom.
But no,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Think
It'll
right
give it-
here, or-
No, you're right.
Pieces of wood, will hold the water. Like that way.
So your professor at ASU, or where we?
I used to teach at Chandler Gilbert Creative.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Yeah. And I trained with a faculty as a faculty developer.
Oh,
I never stopped
yeah.
being an educator.
Yeah.
Yo digo que.
How are you enjoying your transition?
There's a lot of unwinding though, like a lot. You know,
Getting off the system.
yeah, but I think
It'll grow well.
you know, you spend so much time getting educated. I'm a psychologist. And
Yeah.
so you spend so much time getting educated, and then you go back into that system, and so like seeing it from a different
I
vantage
just
point,
sit there.
not seeing the things
No hay
that
que
could
usar
be.
esta, ahorita usamos esta.
Now, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
Or a
like,
couple.
that's like that. I've been unwinding for a year.
So, mira, I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna put it over here.
Right.
Una.
I got carried away.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I can still work with it. Let's remember that this part of the agriculture that they're trying to push to us, it's not, it doesn't work for us. They make us buy everything. It's like they're trying to teach us how to garden, but remember that our ancestors already developed the system. Very simple system, but it has worked. So we don't need all the tools. We don't need. We just need seeds and collective effort. These are seniors. Yeah, so you don't dirty your fingers.
Yeah, you're right.
So we already were.
Okay.
I'm a little
There you
late.
go.
We're past that.
The professionals, nail it now.
Yeah, I was saying,
know how to
right,
knock.
yeah.
I'm using the tool.
I am like a 3-year-old. When it comes to dirt, I'm like,
I've had this
Yeah.
done for a long time. I know they're like sensitive.
And so you want us to just place it anywhere?
Uh-huh.
seeds?
See.
What do we have here?
Lula.
Oh, I was gonna say, I recognize that that's seeds.
This is, all these flowers are very rare. I get them from a special website, and they're very rare flowers and herbs. That will definitely make you better.
No, I'm sticking with seeds. I'm wondering, thoughts on the calendula.
We're filling in anywhere. Yeah, we're just filling them in. Those perform well. Just bring more nitrogen. Nitrogen to the soil.
What?
That's
Jamaica. Tenemos, vamos a
You just do like one at a time for the calendula? Two?
What I think feels good to
Yeah,
yeah, right.
One thing that's
Oh, yeah,
especially in my house right now.
My family.
anyone
grew up in Indiana. I've been here about.
Those are the same ones.
I didn't know what they were, but I was like,
oh, I have a question with the beets. Because I've been trying to grow some. Oh, okay. Beans. How do you put them in there? Because I'm not in Buckeye, and we have a ton of crickets over there. So as soon as it would sprout up, the crickets would go and eat them. Oh,
Yes.
And so I was trying to look at, non-toxic ways to get rid of that.
They taken over my house.
Probably because they're in the winter, scorpions or something.
And birds.
Yeah.
I thought I had termites at first.
Oh, okay. A lot,
Seeing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know though.
Yeah, she studied under my teaching.
Right here.
It's fun even more.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I found out, about that. They posted it.
you know.
That's why I like to. A lot of
There you
seeds
go.
I want.
We're all sister brothers cousins.
Cool. No fui.
Yeah, but I don't use that. Not with violent way. I just waited. Patience. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, wherever you want. The woodpecker to go in the hole and find out where they sprout. That works. Okay.
Still there?
The hole is. The hole is. Then it became cats. Or cats. Your house. Not even kidding. So it's just been like rotating creatures, which is kind of nice.
That has been
As long as the house is
very
surviving.
interesting. Has been like dealing with the creatures. Like once you deal with one, you gotta.
What is it, morning glory? Okay, this is morning glory?
Yeah.
I don't know what's already here.
I love to have a rosemary.
These are like tails and stuff that way we plant the pieces,
Like that is
grow, and we get it, and we don't even have to like.
Maybe
Do you water over here for me so I can plant seeds because they're hurting?
Butterfly pie, or butterfly.
At a certain point, we're gonna run out of battery here.
It's gonna be look cool because now you know where you're planting your seeds already, right? Because you remember?
I
And then
remember
you'll be like,
exactly.
oh, look at that. Might grow better than that one.
It's not a competition.
Oh, nice. Okay. It's not,
But
mine's always.
lighthearted.
Lentejas?
I know.
Oh, this is another butterfly
Okay.
flower. I think it's like con.
Have you ever tried growing that? Can you self-taught yourself?
No, I did do a yoga training. A lot of just
Those
kind
are
of
the ones
ongoing
that
study.
you kind of have to take care of every day.
Yeah.
I like to walk away from
I did, and my instructor was very like to now me physiology as well.
Carmen,
Yeah, so it was kind of nice.
I'm trying to figure out how long we want to go live for.
I haven't
you
been
know?
doing much lately. I've been doing
Yeah.
private sessions, but
I mean, well, we can let it run out, but at a certain point, the battery's gonna die.
Yeah. And he was like, "For you, we will." And I haven't brought that back up because I know they just have a lot, but Audubon would be like such a good spot. But are you interested?
I'm in the West Valley.
Oh yeah, no, that's right.
Oh, where in the West Valley?
Good year.
Oh, yeah, I'm in Buckeye.
Yeah.
I'm in Goodyear often though, and Avondale, yeah.
What is this for?
So that's another thing, trying to bring some of this out west.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially the holistic side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important that we recognize the seeds and see every seed is different. That's a cool part of planting from seed. It's just like you really recognize the seeds.
What are these ones?
It's some kind of flower.
Oh, okay.
We have some in here. China, pale pink dwarf, my lady. Something like that.
Yeah, I noticed like cilantro and a lot of the flowers have and carrots are very tiny seeds.
Yeah. Yep. I do have some purple seeds and purple carrots and black carrots in there that I ordered. But I like to plant that in the field. But that's another plant.
Yeah, for sure.
Soon, hopefully.
Yes.
Soon we'll have our 7 acres. For one.
months.
Did you grab the purple
Do you remember
sunflower?
like when you grew up here? Just like
Yes. Baseline.
yeah.
We used to drive baseline. My dad's always been on horse trainer, so we would
Oh,
always
really?
come back and forth to the ranch house and stuff here.
You should make saddles.
He does. He does leather. He does leather work. But we used to drive baseline, and it was fields, flower fields. It was always like the orchard. And I miss that because we would drive down baseline at night with the windows down, and it'd be cool. You know, like you could feel just the difference in temperature around the farms. You know, and now like kids don't know. And that's part of it. Is like the disconnect of knowing where your food comes from, right? You know, because nowadays kids, a lot of young kids don't know that it grows from the ground. Yeah, the plants, you know, and things like that. So it's really, you know, it's important to show that to them.
This is a Hopi black dye sunflower.
That one is so pretty on the package that it came on. Oh my gosh,
See,
it's gorgeous.
and I didn't. This is the first time I see this kind of sunflower. You use the seeds, you boil them, and they're giant sunflowers, by the way. And you boil them, and you can make a purple dye for your textile. So, see,
It grows kind of like a vine.
Yeah. It'll keep growing around. We could put it where the oil is at, but are you going to put the oil there?
see.
Okay. And we'll find some out.
¿Cuál es este? I'm okay.
This is nasturtium, tip top Alaska.
Oh, move that one over here. Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
What is this?
When you mind getting it on my side?
Sorry, my English runs that.
What is it? I am Spanish. What is it in Spanish?
¿Quién sabe? I said, ¿quién sabe?
Yeah.
Nasturtium.
Cerebro.
There you go.
Looks like a little brain.
So this is edible flower. That's all I know.
Can't remember what's here.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm just putting them wherever.
It's an experiment.
See what gives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see what lives.
And this is a flowering kale. It's a
Oh, I saw the picture.
form of kale, but it looks like a flower. They're really pretty. And they're so tiny.
Yeah.
These things are so tiny, you can just go like, yeah. The tinier the seeds, the
Oh, yeah. So a really like great thing I like about gardening and growing food and the earthwork is that our ancestors, like what Fernando said, our ancestors have done this since time immemorial. You know, like we have it in our lineage, we have it in our genes. We have all these medicine ways as part of our healing process. Like so, a lot of times, you know, sometimes you're like, I don't know why, but I want to do this. You know, like it calls to you. A lot of times you smell something and it's not even around you, you have it, you carry it with you, you know. For me, one of the first ceremonies I was in, we had a medicine and I was like, I've had this before. But we have that genetic memory of all these medicines, you know, so sometimes you don't know why, but you have a connection to it. You don't know why, but you recognize the taste, the smell, you know, because it's in our blood, it's in our lineage, you know. So I like to think of
es así poquito se
not questioning it, you know, not questioning it, just going with it, you know, making sure that you connect with it in some way, and then are able to heal from whatever may be happening, or using it as a medicine for you throughout your life, you know.
And I feel like that's really where the regenerative healing happens, the restorative approach to how we work with the land, restoring our connections to Mother Earth and our own healing ways, you know? It's all just part of it.
We accomplished it. The planting is done. I thought I was gonna have to plant it all by myself, so. Which I don't mind, but
Community.
yeah.
And then you could actually grow them like
Oh, yeah. Sign this off. That's okay. All right, everyone. So there's a lot going on. You've seen all the lovely things we've been doing. You watched us plant this beautiful medicinal garden. We'll definitely come on back on screen at different times, throughout our wellness series, at different times throughout the year, and show you how the garden is progressing. I want to thank everyone for their attention. Also, just thank you for putting up with us trying to manage technology outside in the elements with the heat of Phoenix. I hope we didn't give you all too big of a headache. If you want to connect to the collective, we are on Instagram and Facebook at the Siwapatli Collective. Also, you're welcome to visit our website. Again, everything is in the name of the collective, so www.siwapatlicollective.org. Like us, share our content, and also register for all of the up and coming series. There's one tomorrow regarding end of life transitions. We have a exhibit this weekend at the Sagrado Gallery. No, sorry, not this weekend, the 21st. We have an exhibit on the 21st, and it's a birth worker exhibit, and that's at the Sagrado Galleria. We will also have a virtual exhibit after that. We have some up and coming workshops related to body dysmorphia. That's on the 23rd of May. And that's with Tracy Hughes Hamilton, she doesn't like me calling her an elder, but she has elder knowledge. So somebody we regard as an elder within the collective. So lots coming up. Also on our website, you get connected and start to get our newsletter. That's a great way to kind of find out what's going on. And we do our best. We do our best to show things and display them live, but then also make sure that they're recorded and available both on our Facebook pages and also on our YouTube page. So that's another thing. The point is just start to kind of connect with all of the ways that you can be connected to orgs, right, using social media. Okay, everyone, have a beautiful day. I know that this has helped me a ton to feel settled. I hope that you feel that way, even just kind of seeing the plants, and that you've had some sensory memories activated right through the process of hearing us and watching us talk about the plants, touch the earth, and pay attention to that. You probably did have some sensory memories, and so that's a real thing. Just because you aren't with us doesn't mean that you don't have a connection to us. Just want to say hi, Doctora. Doctora is one of our elders as well. We got to see her and hug on her and love on her this weekend. Hola, Doctora, qué bueno verla. And thank you for all of your encouragement. She's saying muchos éxitos. Actually, here, let me use StreamYard for what it does. And share the comment. So, muchos éxitos en todo el emprendimiento. Saludos a todos, a todas y todos. So, to translate, just basically she's saying, wishing us a lot of success in all of our learnings, and then just saying shout outs to everyone and hugs. Okay, we'll leave it with that. Bye, everyone.
That was nice. Do you want me to water you? Yeah.